So I'm going to put
That's
you on the
right.
spot here because I think I asked you before. So when did you realize that you were a leader?
Oh, wow. So Izzy, that's a hard question, right? It's a hard question to answer. Um, and I didn't know for a long time. I mean, literally, I was a chief and I didn't realize the magnitude of what, or the influence that I had on so many. And, I always had people that I mentored. Of course, that kind of came with the
Right.
territory as being a chief,
Right.
but I didn't really understand it tremendously until I was just about to retire, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, me and my wife were starting to write our, um, you know, the RSVPs for my retirement. So we were like, yeah, probably 50 people maybe, and majority of those would be the people that I work with right now.
Right.
I didn't think there would be that many, right? And so I sent out the RSVPs to all my friends, and next thing you know, I got 150 RSVPs, right? And I'm going, uh-oh. I said, we need another place, right? And then I start to get another wave of RSVPs.
Right.
So I'm now at 225, and half of them are traveling to come to my retirement.
Yeah.
And it blew my mind, and I actually was in tears.
Wow.
Because I was like, whoa, I guess I've had an effect on people, right? And so, looking back, I just say that I just didn't look for that kind of attention. I gave people what I thought that I would want as a leader, right? I share some of the things that, when I skinned my knee and my boss, put his arm around me and said, it's going to be all right, and giving second chances. And so if that what's worked, then I'm happy it did. And so, like I said, it's a tough question to ask because I didn't know in the moment that I, quote unquote, was a good leader.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's interesting. One of the things when you're talking about like trust a lot of times, and I kind of want your thought process on this actually, is we're hearing trust all the time. And if you listen to some people, they don't trust their leadership, but they trust that the leader or the company will get rid of them the next day, right? Like that's a big thing going around nowadays. Like, hey, spend time with your family because trust your company will find you a replacement for those days. What are some of your things that, like, if a leader is hearing that from his people, what do you think are some ways for that leader to either do some self-realization, some reflection, or and how can they combat that, like that people legitimately feel that they trust that they're not important to their organization?
Yeah. So, I mean, that really requires a sit down of your team and be willing to take some feedback from the people, right? So that you can get an understanding. I think we believe we understand, how our people, how they feel, but I think we need to assign their voices to what to the emotions in the organization instead of me kind of guessing that, what's really going on. I would rather not guess. And if I had that kind of scenario going in my organization, I'm going to stop and I'm going to get my union rep. And, and I know Izzy said this, right? But my union rep was important. I mean, it was important to get an understanding of what's happening in your organization. And, I think leaders sometimes fool themselves that believe that they're so connected to their team that they know everything. And so I used the union rep as a tool. I identified that union rep in every single organization I've ever worked in because they're the ones who are going to amplify the voices of the people. And they're going to give it to you in this raw, and they're willing to give it to you in such a raw way that you understand how they're feeling. So, yeah, people, when they first heard the term union rep, they thought it was a negative thing, but I use it as my influencer in my organization, right? And so to answer your question, I never guessed. I always went and sought out what's going on and how can I get it back. And then I just used every tool in my toolbox to get them back.
So one beautiful thing, Satch, is even though you wrote the book, you're doing more with it, with the knowledge of leadership
and all the concepts, the principles and everything else. So I know you're also doing leadership seminars. Can you explain that so the listeners and viewers can know what it's about, what do you do, and everything else?
Okay, great question. So, I built, after I got a year into the book, right? So now the book has been on sale for just about a year. About 3/4 of the way, you start to see your book sell at a heavy rate, and then it starts to decline. And I just really wanted the people that were reading it, or the people that had not yet read it and really was interested in the concepts, for them to hear my voice, right? And see the book and hear my voice. So I wrote a workbook. I built a workbook that coincides with the book. And so then now I do workshops on how to extract a leader, right? And so it gives you, here's the steps to creating a productive organization, right? And it starts with your own self-awareness, revealing your authenticity, building on the three levels of influence, which is trust, relationships, and culture, and then influencing the actual productivity. And so it has been really phenomenal.
That's
and
awesome.
I've gotten a lot of great feedback from the people that have attended the courses. And I'm so happy. And I really get a lot out of seeing people's lights come on, right? When they see how, their lack of authenticity is impacting the organization. And so I'm really excited about, that step, and it's kind of moving the book along further because it's giving it some life.
That's awesome, man. So I just want to honestly say thank you, bro. I appreciate you coming.
Wait. So I'm on this podcast, right? And you leaving out a significant piece of our history.
Here we go.
Right?
Here we go. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Come on, let's hear it.
I can't believe we got to this far into this podcast, right? You invite me on, and the most significant piece of our history is being left out. So
go ahead.
I'm curious if you were trying to close this podcast. Because if you are, then it's time for us to bring some closure.
Let's bring some closure. Go ahead. Let's hear the story. Let's hear it.
Okay. So there was this guy, right? We'll call him Izzy, right? And he used to talk bad about how good he was in basketball, right? And I used to referee basketball, right? So he used to always say, referees are people that can't play ball, blah, blah, blah. So one day I had heard enough. I was like, Izzy, let's go. We're going down to the gym. He was on console at work, and I said, hey, I need y'all to cover him. We're going to the basketball court, right? So in the middle of the workday, I'm in PT gear, and we go to the gym playing 1-on-1. And so, I have to admit, you had some game, right? But I don't remember the score.
It was close game. It was like 11-10. 11-10 or something like that.
Okay, so the score was like 11-1, right? And so
it was more than one. Wait, it was like at least seven.
It was absolutely 1 point. And then I remember you laying in the paint while I walked away. I said, I'm going back to work. So now I'll never play you again.
I know you won't.
Because I'll always be 1-0 against you. Right? There's never going to be a game, so hopefully you're not asking for that.
Yeah, and you know what was the worst part of the thing? I'll be honest. Yeah, you did beat me. But the worst part of it was I came decked out in basketball gear. I had my jersey, I had my shorts, I had my I had knee braces on. I was like, I'm gonna school his ass. But I just ran out of gas. But that honestly, with that was a lesson, right? You can't count nobody out, just because the appearance might seem one way, but then when you actually execute, it's a whole different thing, man.
Hey, but and more importantly though, and to be serious about this, it was that to have a relationship with my team, that they're willing to, play basketball together or enjoy time together. I mean, we literally play dominoes in the command post because, you got this closed environment with very few people, not many people understand what you do. It's a 12-hour shift.
Right.
It gets boring. And that was real important that the team knew me and I knew them. And, it was a big family, and I'm glad that you were part of it, and, you'll be a friend forever.
Likewise, man. I've learned so much from you, and I'm glad that you provided me with the tools that I needed as I progressed, because it really showed, it really reflected in with the NCOs and the airmen that I worked with, to where I left on a high horse. You know what I'm saying? I was on top of the pedestal, and then through there, to this day, I still get calls from them regarding supervisory issues, which I love,
awesome.
which is awesome. They call me like I did with you. Hey, I got this airman. This is the issue. What do you recommend? What do you think? This and this and that. And I'd be like, I got you, man. This is what I learned from those, in front of me that taught me how to handle the situation. And, you just pay it forward. But Satch, man,
right.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on. It truly was an honor and privilege for you to talk about leadership. Again, you come with 30 years. Continue to progress in your leadership seminars, in your blogs and podcasts now. So every Thursday he has a podcast called Exhale, which talks about leadership, gives good knowledge and information on that. And if you don't have the book, go get it. I'm telling you, you won't be disappointed after you read it. Like I said, it parallels with everything, everyday life. So it's not just, again, not whether you're CEO, manager, boss. You could do it in your relationships, with your friendships. It doesn't matter. Yep. Everything that happens in life, the obstacles you face, you could apply these principles, themes, concepts, and everything to get through it. So again, Satch, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you for that. Really appreciate that.
Real quick, what about that T-shirt? I've seen that T-shirt numerous times. I've seen a couple of things hit on it. What's going on with that right now? I want to know more about that.
So there's this thing, right, that I used to, when I was a chief, I went into like custom ink and I just put enlisted on a shirt. And then it was like my running shirt. And, there's a lot of people on base that have, big chief stripes on their shirt, and I thought that there was some pride in just being enlisted. People recognize there was Chief Satchell there. We already know he's a chief, but he's not, he's repping, who we are. Right. And I remember just walking into like the food court and people would look at their shirt and, they go, yeah, that's pretty cool. Right. And so it's been something I've been sitting on for a long time. So then I went and got it trademarked, right? The name enlisted for apparel. I went recently and it takes about a year or maybe a little more to get something trademarked like that. And I had it trademarked. And so now we're opening a brand. And so this is version 1. It won't look like this now on sale, but it is now an apparel brand that we're going to start, selling, some merch. And it is really there not to, I really don't care how much money I make on it, but I just wanted to put the pride back out there in just being enlisted. And a lot of people have said some really positive things about it so far. So I'm excited about that. And it's made us now like move a little faster because we didn't know that we were going to get that much, positive feedback.
Right.
So we're with the manufacturers right now. And our idea is to really have a quality product. So like we have one that's an OCP color. We have my first white tee, and we want those to be in dry fit, moisture wicketing. So we're going to go on the high end of it, not in price, but just the high quality, because if you're going to wear it under your uniform, we just want it to be comfortable and we don't want it to shrink on you and stuff like that. So thanks for asking about that, Mike. I appreciate that.
Hey, so
well,
real
good.
quick, Seth, give us your plugins, man. Where's your leadership blog and everything else before your hamster dies and we lose connection?
So my website, and so I'm a leadership coach. You can apply for coaching, or you can apply for some certifications in the Resilience Building Leadership Program, where it gives you a professional certification. I do that as well. I do one-on-one coaching and team coaching, and then I do workshops, right? And then, so there's a lot going on. And I'm also writing curriculum for Air Force Global Strike Command for their leadership program. So there's so much happening, and I'm excited about that. But if you go to core-elc.com. You'll see it all. You'll see my blog on there. You'll see the swag. You'll see, anything that you're trying to connect with me will be on that site. So, and then of course on social media everywhere, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn are the ones that I use right now. And then with the help of you guys, I'm going to be pushing over into YouTube as the podcasts get bigger. So that's where you can find me if you're looking for me.
Awesome. Thank you, Satch, man. I appreciate you, bro.
You're welcome, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys.